The day I was diagnosed with stomach cancer, I was ambushed and bullied in an alley. When I was rescued, I was covered in bruises. The police asked me to contact my family. My parents said in a fluster that they were attending an academic conference overseas and were rushing back to America. My sister said she would leave immediately. However, I waited all night at the hospital before my sister finally arrived, looking exhausted. She hugged me, her eyes filled with heartache. "Ryan, I'm so sorry. If I hadn't been out of the city, I would never have let you go to that party alone, and you wouldn't have had to go through this. I'm so sorry." While checking out of the hospital, she nervously went to a corner to answer a call, unaware that I was quietly following her. "Mom and Dad, just to avoid affecting Asher's award ceremony, you let Ryan suffer like this. Isn't that going too far?" At the same time, I saw a dynamic image on social media. Although it was quickly withdrawn, I had already seen it clearly. It was a picture of the real Zhou family heir standing on the stage with my parents, accepting an award. My girlfriend was leaning on his shoulder. My heart was torn apart. It turned out that all of this had been arranged by my closest family members, simply because my parents favored Asher Zhou and always gave him the best, even easily taking away my achievements. I smiled bitterly. "Fine, I'm a dying man. I'll give it all to them." My sister had just hung up when the phone rang again. Her tone was firm. "You want to add more money? Be careful I send you to the police." "Who told you to actually assault my brother?" The next second, her voice stopped abruptly. "What? You recorded it?" Her tone softened instantly, as if someone had grabbed her throat. The late spring wind blew through the hospital corridor, but it felt bone-chillingly cold to me. I leaned against the wall, slowly moving my numb legs, and turned back to the payment hall. Soon after, my sister quickly returned, with an apologetic look on her face. "Ryan, let's go home first. Once we're settled, I'll go and negotiate with the police." "No need, I've dropped the charges." "Why?" She looked at me in surprise. I kept smiling, but couldn't make a sound. What else could it be? I couldn't let the police arrest my parents and sister, could I? I used to hysterically question her about why she treated me like this. But now, I had lost the energy to do so. 18 years of getting along couldn't compare to blood relations in their eyes. Perhaps in their hearts, I had long been an unimportant stranger. My sister didn't ask any further questions, urging me to go home. I followed her to the car and opened the passenger door. But I saw the seat was full of Asher's personal belongings, even with a Asher's seat label on it. My sister subconsciously explained, "Asher was just fooling around, don't be jealous again." "I understand," I said softly, closed the door, and got into the back seat. My sister was clearly unaccustomed to my reaction. For the past month, every time Asher was mentioned, I would throw a tantrum. My current calmness made her feel at a loss. All the way, she tried to find topics to talk about. But I just closed my eyes and whispered, "Sis, I'm tired." She had to shut her mouth and remain silent the whole way. Tears welled up in my eyes, even though I kept saying I didn't need to care. But how could I not care? Pushing open the door to the house, a burst of noise rushed at me. Asher was excitedly bragging to my parents, "Mom, Dad, did you hear that? They said I'm a genius, and I developed such a great AI product at just 18. My mother said with a doting look, "I heard it. Mom even took photos for you. I'm so proud of our Asher." My father laughed heartily. "Dad will show you off on all platforms in a few days." I stood in the entrance hall, watching the happy family in the living room. They not only confidently stole my achievements for Asher but also wanted to promote him widely. At this time last year, my parents still said that I was their proudest son and that no one could steal the glory that belonged to me. Now it seemed that it was nothing more than that. I smiled bitterly, thinking that if they knew I had stomach cancer, I wondered if they would be sad for a while. Asher put his arm around Jun Jiang, smiling smugly. "Dad, Mom, let's also promote the engagement ceremony between Jun and me. I'm the real Zhou family heir, and the marriage with the Jiang family should have been mine." Jun shyly looked back at him, her eyes sparkling. I almost forgot that my initial relationship with Jun wasn't for a family marriage. In fact, the Jiang family wouldn't be where they are today without my help over the years. I even gave many of the products I developed to June for free, just because she had worried that she wanted to work harder and become a woman worthy of me, the Zhou family heir. So I helped her build the Jiang family into a wealthy family. The laughter in the living room stopped when they saw me. The smiles on my parents' faces also faded a bit. My mother stood up first, her tone with a hint of perfunctory concern. "How are you? Where did you get hurt?" Asher came over, pretending to care. "Brother, I heard you were assaulted by men. Are you okay? It must be very sad for a man to encounter such a thing, right?" His words were full of barbs, like usual, trying to provoke me. The caring look in my mother's eyes also faded, replaced by undisguised disgust. But I didn't get angry or embarrassed as he wished, just smiled faintly. Just as I was about to speak, I was interrupted by my father's impatient rebuke. "Go back to your room and rest. After such a thing, go out less often in the future." My heart felt like it had been pricked by a needle, a sharp pain. My sister walked in and happened to hear it, frowning. "Dad, don't say that." I didn't argue anymore and turned to go upstairs. My heart was in a mess. I had experienced too much these days. I just wanted to get a good night's sleep. June suddenly blocked my way. I looked up and met her hateful eyes. "Let's break up, Ryan Zhou. You're too dirty now." I looked at her and saw the same hateful eyes in my family's gaze. I smiled, my eyes filled with tears, and bowed deeply to my parents. "Thank you for raising me all these years. I'll move out today. I won't bother your family anymore." My sister couldn't bear it and said, "Ryan, what are you talking about? We're family." My mother also remembered the years of affection, and her expression wavered slightly. Asher Zhou suddenly cried, "Brother, I know you're unhappy that I've returned to this family. I can leave. Don't say such angry words." He pretended to pack his things, and the family started to gather around him to comfort him. My father impatiently interrupted everything, his tone strong. "Asher, this is your home. You don't need to go anywhere." He glanced at me warningly and said condescendingly, "Although you just had an accident, you shouldn't have given us a bad face as soon as you came home. Since you want to leave, then leave. We'll give you some money as a token of our affection over the years." "No need. The Zhou family has given me enough." I smiled bitterly. It seemed that whatever I did now was wrong. Fine, I only had 1 month left to live. I wanted freedom. Let's end everything about the Zhou family completely today. I went back to my room and only took my ID and some important personal belongings, not even taking any clothes. I wanted to leave cleanly, without taking anything from the Zhou family. When I walked out of the Zhou family's gate, no one looked at me. They were all surrounding Asher, excitedly discussing tonight's celebration menu. June walked to the door and said to me, "I'll take you back to the city." This was a suburban villa, sparsely populated, and it wasn't easy to get a taxi. I was about to refuse when my stomach suddenly cramped with pain, and beads of sweat rolled down my forehead. By the time I recovered, she had already driven the car to the door. Perhaps it was the last time we would meet, and I wanted to say goodbye to her decently. I opened the car door and sat in the passenger seat. My stomach was getting more and more painful, and there was even bloody water gushing into my throat. I tried my best to swallow it to prevent her from seeing my embarrassment. In a daze, June said, "Ryan Zhou, I know you're sad that I broke up with you. If you want, we can be like before, but don't even think about marriage." I looked at her in surprise. Did she mean she wanted me to be her secret lover? I said with difficulty, "I won't be a mistress." A trace of impatience flashed across her face. "Ryan, you know, your current status is no longer worthy of me, you are now." She didn't finish her sentence, but I understood what she meant. Ever since she found out that the Zhou family had switched children, her attitude towards me had been very subtle. Until Asher was found, her attitude completely changed. I asked despondently, "Did you initially approach me just because of my status?" She pursed her lips and didn't answer, but my heart turned cold inch by inch. So, in her heart, I was never as good as the Zhou family's aura. How ridiculous, it turned out that love and family were so vulnerable. I smiled self-deprecatingly, endured the stomach pain, and said, "Stop the car, I want to walk alone." June frowned impatiently. "Ryan Joe, don't be ungrateful. You're not as gentle and considerate as Asher, you're like a block of wood, and you're nothing without the Joe family. If you continue to be willful, I won't care about you anymore. Stop the car." I didn't want to listen to her hypocritical pity anymore, and I didn't want to be in the same space as her anymore. Even a second felt disgusting. June angrily slammed on the brakes, and the car stopped abruptly. The inertia ma. My body leaned forward, and there was another burst of severe pain in my stomach. She turned her head and glared at me, her tone vicious. "I'll wait and see how you beg me." I endured the discomfort and pushed open the car door. Before I could stand still, she stepped on the gas and sped away. I was thrown to the ground, and my arm was scratched with blood marks by the rough surface. The blood in my stomach could no longer be held back and gushed into my throat. My eyes went black, and I fainted. I dreamed of my 5th birthday, my parents touching my head affectionately, their eyes full of love. "Our Ryan is such a lucky star." When I was 7, my sister proudly showed me off to her friends, bragging, "Look, this is my brother. His IQ is 230. He's so cute and smart." When I was 15, the Leonids meteor shower streaked across the night sky, and June closed her eyes and shouted loudly, "I must marry Ryan Joe. I will only love him for the rest of my life." At 18, my parents told me with a guilty look, "Ryan, you're not our child, but we will still love you the same." The scene changed, and my parents' eyes became cold, full of reproach. "Ryan, you've occupied Asher's good life for 18 years. Why don't you let him have it?" I looked at Asher Joe, who was hiding behind my parents and making faces at me, unable to defend myself. The severe pain dragged me awake from my coma. The ground beneath me was sticky with blood. I struggled to take out my phone and dialed 911 with trembling hands. While waiting for the ambulance, I forced myself to look at WeChat. It was a 10,000 red envelope from my mother, followed by a sentence, "Ryan, I can only help you this much. Call me Aunt next time we meet. Asher doesn't like you calling me Mom." My father updated his social media, a family photo, a family of 4 happily together, without me. The caption was, "A family reunion, this is true happiness." I laughed, and a mouthful of blood splattered on the phone screen, staining the family photo that didn't belong to me red. Coincidentally, the ambulance took me to the hospital owned by the Joe family. I only had $248 left, not enough to even pay for cleaning the wounds. After buying a box of cheap painkillers, I only had $4 left in my pocket. Just as I was about to leave, I saw my parents surrounding Asher, running to the emergency room with a look of tension. The passing nurses whispered, "The Joe family's young master is so lucky. Even a small burn requires several specialists to come." That's right. Look at this guy who also has the surname Joe. It's really the same surname but different fate. I ignored the nurse's ridicule and staggered towards the hospital gate. "Ryan!" I looked up and saw it was my sister. "What are you doing here?" "Mom just asked me to look for you." A glimmer of hope suddenly flashed in my heart. Maybe they finally remembered me? But what my sister said next was like a bucket of cold water poured over me. Where is the source code for the product you developed? Asher wants to use it." So that's it. They were looking for me just for Asher. "You also want me to give it to him?" I looked straight into my sister's eyes. My sister avoided my gaze. "This is what you owe Asher. If it weren't for the Switch, you wouldn't have had such good resources to develop it, right?" Her tone became more and more confident. Something inside me silently shattered. My sister was the most observant and always had keen eyes. I was standing in front of her covered in bruises, but she turned a blind eye. "Okay, I'll give it to him. After that, we'll be even." I was fed up with everyone saying that I owed Asher. If I could, I wouldn't have wanted to be switched, but everyone thought it was my fault. I wanted to leave, but my sister grabbed my arm. "Give me the code before you go." The place she grabbed was right on my wound, causing me to groan. "Let go!" "The code is on my computer in my room. Go back and G.E.T. it." At this time, my sister noticed my injury and a trace of guilt flashed in her eyes. I continued to walk out, but June grabbed me and slapped me hard in the face. Ryan Joe, you actually deliberately sent a message to provoke Asher. I was already at the end of my rope. Her vicious slap made my eyes go black, and a mouthful of blood gushed out. Stop pretending. Keep pretending. You pretend to be sick whenever something happens, right? My father came out of the emergency room with Asher, looking cold. I thought you were sensible and left, but I didn't expect you to send threatening messages to Asher behind his back, causing him to be distracted and burned. Asher leaned in my father's arms, looking weak. Brother, I really didn't want to take anything from you. I just wanted to return to my real parents. Asher, don't be sad. Ryan Joe is just too jealous. June hugged Asher with heartache, comforting him softly. Seeing Asher turning black and white again, my blood rushed to my head, and I wanted him to show evidence. As soon as I opened my mouth, blood kept gushing out, staining my clothes and my vision red. June turned her head and wanted to continue to accuse me, but was frightened by the blood I spat out and widened her eyes in disbelief. My body fell backward, and my sister hurriedly reached out to catch me. Ryan, what's wrong? My parents and June subconsciously took steps in this direction. But at this time, Asher rolled his eyes and fainted. Asher! Asher! June rushed over, her face full of anxiety. Doctor! Doctor! Please take a look at him. My father supported Asher with a hurried look on his face while nervously calling for someone. As for me, who was slumped in my sister's arms, I became forgotten again. My sister looked at me and then at the others, finally bit her lip, and said to a nurse next to her, "Please take him to take care of his wounds. I want to see my brother." I tried to steady my weak body and wiped the blood from my face. No need, just go. My sister bit her lip, seeming a little guilty, but eventually followed them into the ward. Ryan, don't be willful, I'll be back in a while. I stood there, feeling all the strength drained from my body, like a discarded rag doll. The nurse stood awkwardly aside, not knowing whether to help me. I saw through her hesitation and said softly, "Please help me open the door. I can't push it." I didn't even have the strength to push the door. The nurse couldn't refuse me, and helped me to the outside of the hospital. I trembled as I took out the only $4 from my pocket and handed it to her. Thank you. The nurse looked at my thin clothes and pale face, and eventually didn't take it. Sir, you should go see a doctor. Your face looks terrible. No need, I know my own body. I was going to die soon anyway. Now it was just a countdown. The cold, misty street wind poured in, and I leaned against the wall, stumbling out of the hospital, my back already soaked with cold sweat. At this time, in the ward. Doctor, how is my son? My mother looked anxious, holding tightly onto the doctor next to Asher. The doctor hesitated, flipping through the records. His body is as strong as an ox. There's nothing wrong with him. He should have had a brief syncope caused by stimulation or fear. My mother secretly breathed a sigh of relief, but still rubbed her chest and said a few times, "You scared me to death." How could Asher be so scared that he fainted? She had been discussing the details of the burn treatment with the doctor and hadn't noticed what was happening outside. My father and June exchanged glances, and both suddenly remembered the blood I had just spat out. They didn't know what my situation was now. My father asked my sister in a low voice, "How is Ryan?" Although I wasn't his biological son, he had raised me for 18 years, so there must be some feelings involved. My sister replied a little awkwardly, "I asked the nurse to send him for treatment. I don't know the specific situation." My father was silent. Recently, they had really been too careless about me. June, who was standing aside, felt a little uneasy when she heard these words. Although we were no longer lovers, seeing me in that state, her heart couldn't help but ripple. My sister took the initiative to say, "I'll go ask the doctor about his situation. This is our own hospital after all, so they shouldn't mistreat him." But when she asked every department, she couldn't find me. No department had admitted a patient named Ryan Joe. My sister's face turned pale instantly. My condition had been so serious just now. If I didn't get timely treatment, She hurriedly took out her phone and dialed my number. The phone rang for a long time, but no one answered. At this moment, I was lying on my master's old small recliner, and the sunlight shone on me through the leaves. The fishing rod trembled from time to time, and I knew that there was a fish pulling on the float underwater. This used to be the simplest thing for me. But now, even lifting the slightly heavy fishing rod was incredibly difficult. My master came over to help me pull up the fishing line, but his face flashed with heartache and helplessness. He sighed softly, "Ryan, you still have to get treatment. If you continue like this, there's no hope." I closed my eyes, feeling the warm afternoon sun. My thoughts drifted back to that cold night. I was leaning against a utility pole at the hospital entrance, my vision darkening and my breathing becoming difficult. I thought I was going to die, and I would meet my master. I smiled weakly and said, "Master, I'm going to die anyway. Treatment is just in vain." My master was so angry that he blew his beard and glared at me. "Nonsense. What's wrong with terminal stomach cancer? It's not an incurable disease. Medicine is so advanced now, there must still be hope. I'll take you to the hospital right away." I weakly grabbed his sleeve and shook my head. "Don't bother, master. I don't want to die in the hospital. It's cold and I'm scared." My master looked at my pale face, his eyes turned red, and he turned his back to secretly wipe away his tears. "Okay, don't die in the hospital. Then stay here with me and I'll take good care of you. I'll cook for you, get you medicine, and stay with you." He turned around and said firmly. I was actually very lucky. In the last moments of my life, there was still someone with me. Although I was abandoned by my so-called family and betrayed by my girlfriend, I still had my master. "Master, I'm sorry," I said apologetically. "I don't have any money to give you now. I'm afraid I won't be able to pay back the money you spent on me." My master patted my shoulder. "What are you talking about? Once a master, always a father. I'm your father. Shouldn't I take care of you?" I lowered my head, and tears slid down silently. So, I still had family. My master seemed to suddenly remember something and asked me, "That AI product that your Zhou family's real young master recently said he was going to publish, you developed it, right?" I nodded, not denying it. My master scolded angrily, "So shameless. Stealing other people's achievements. Petty thieves. The Zhou family is a bunch of shameless people. I'm going to expose them." I grabbed his hand and shook my head. "Forget it, master. Just consider it a gift to the Zhou family." My master was even more angry. "Give it away? Haven't you given enough to the Zhou family? Which of the popular products the Zhou family has on hand isn't developed by you? They turned against their conscience, kicked you out without giving you a penny. What ingrates." I looked at the calm pond outside the window and said faintly, "Master, I don't want to pursue it anymore. Let it be. What was there to argue about when a person was about to die? It's just that the Zhou family may not know that this product actually has many loopholes. I discovered them when I took it to the competition. But even a semi-finished product was brilliant enough. I originally planned to improve it after the competition. Now it's just a coincidence." My master looked at me disappointed. A talent like me should be held in high regard wherever I went, but the Zhou family abandoned me like a worn-out shoe. "Master, I want to eat the oatmeal you make." I didn't want to continue this topic. My master looked at me, shook his head helplessly, and got up to go to the kitchen. The Zhou family named that AI proud son, implying that Asher was their proud son. It was ironic that my painstaking efforts became the sun that illuminated others. The internet was flooded with praise for Asher Zhou. What young talent, rising star of technology, and some people even dug up the story of him and me being switched at birth. There were all sorts of comments in the comments section. It's just a pity that I was usually low-key and there wasn't much to dig up. Ryan Zhou? The adopted son who was kicked out by the Zhou family? Bad genes. Even if he lives in a golden nest, he can't be excellent. The real young master is the real young master. Asher Zhou is indeed a genius. He developed such a great AI at a young age. Taking advantage of Asher Zhou's popularity, the Jiang family announced the engagement of June and Asher Zhou. The internet was full of blessings. Looking at the photo of the talented and beautiful couple, I just found it boring and put down my phone. At the same time, there was laughter in the Zhou family villa. Asher Zhou was smugly browsing his phone, occasionally chuckling. In WeChat, he was haggling with the head of the PR team, add more money. I want to see all the negative news about Ryan Zhou occupy the hot search list. My parents were sitting proudly on the sofa, watching the praise for Asher Zhou on TV. They had completely forgotten that this product was not developed by Asher Zhou. Only my sister Zhou Ruoyun looked worried. She walked to my father and said in a low voice, "Dad, without Ryan, what are we going to launch for our group's next quarter smart products?" Asher Zhou frowned unhappily when he heard this. "Sis, are you feeling sorry for Ryan Zhou?" "I knew it, I'm just not as good as Ryan Zhou in your hearts." My father was also a little unhappy. "Ruoyun, aren't the technicians our group hires enough to develop it? Without Ryan Zhou, our Zhou family can't operate?" Zhou Ruoyun smiled reluctantly and didn't say anything. She knew in her heart that no matter how hard the RD team worked, they couldn't replace Ryan Zhou. After all, Ryan Zhou usually provided the core design and creative ideas for the RD team and even wrote a lot of the core code. Without him, the Zhou family's current products wouldn't be able to produce newer second-generation products, let alone refreshing new products. Asher Zhou, however, didn't realize the seriousness of the problem. He proudly patted his chest. "Sis, don't be afraid. I'm also learning programming recently. Soon, I can do what Ryan Zhou can do." My mother was even more delighted when she heard this. "Asher is great. These simple things are easy to learn." In her opinion, programming was a simple thing. After all, in her memory, I was able to make an automatic-like machine for her when I was 5 years old. She was full of blind confidence in Asher, but she didn't know that this confidence would soon be slapped hard by reality. Sure enough, after a few days, Proud Son had serious problems. Every time the AI was asked questions continuously more than 5 times, the algorithm would crash. Although the computing staff worked day and night to fix it, the situation was getting worse. In an instant, the internet was flooded with news about major flaws in Zhou family heir's product. At the Zhou family's suburban villa, the laughter of the past was gone, replaced by chaos. Mrs. Zhou kept urging Asher Zhou, "Asher, fix the code. What are you doing sitting there like a fool?" Asher Zhou stammered, his eyes darting around, the dense code on the screen looking like gibberish to him. I don't understand," he mumbled, his voice barely audible. Mr. Zhou's usually cloudy eyes seemed to suddenly clear. His sharp gaze swept over Asher Zhou, and a deep disappointment welled up in his heart. He suddenly thought of me, a hint of regret in his voice. "Wendy, where's Ryan Zhou? Get him to fix the code. We're all family, he's been sulking long enough." Wendy Zhou sighed. "Dad, I can't reach Ryan. He seems to have disappeared." Mr. Zhou was incredulous. He thought I was just throwing a tantrum and would obediently return in a few days. He didn't expect me to just vanish. Why is he so stubborn? We don't even hold it against him for always bullying Asher, but he won't come back just because we asked for one of his products? Just then, an assistant rushed in, holding an iPad, his face pale. "Mr. Zhou, this is terrible. Tech guru Professor Chen has publicly dissed the young master." In the video, my mentor, Professor Chen, his hair gray but his spirit robust, held up the various awards and certificates I had received. His voice was strong and clear. "My student, Ryan Zhou, is no ordinary kid. He started coding at 5, got into Harvard University at 15, and graduated with a doctorate at 18. Asher Zhou, does he even understand coding? He should be ashamed to take someone else's work." These words immediately sparked the interest of netizens. They turned into Sherlock Holmes, digging into my past with Asher Zhou. Soon, they discovered that I was originally the participant in the tech competitions, but for some reason, Asher Zhou's name appeared during the award ceremonies. OMG! The Zhou family is so disgusting. They actually stole the adopted son's achievements. Asher Zhou is a fraud. A genius boy? More like a good-for-nothing. My heart aches for Ryan Zhou, who painstakingly developed the product, only to have the Zhou family force it onto Asher Zhou. The criticism was directed squarely at the Zhou family and Asher Zhou, making them the target of public anger and relentless online abuse. Mr. and Mrs. Zhou were furious. Mrs. Zhou cursed, "It must be Ryan Zhou. He's turned against us, repaying kindness with revenge on the Zhou family." To quell public outrage, the Zhou family issued a statement claiming that Asher Zhou had participated in the AI product's development and that I was just a member of the development team. But this clumsy explanation clearly failed to convince the netizens. One zealous netizen even hacked into the Zhou family's security system and released surveillance videos to the public. The videos exposed Asher Zhou's self-directed and acted scheme to frame me, revealing the truth to the world. Mrs. Zhou looked at Asher Zhou in disbelief. She had always thought Asher Zhou was a kind and innocent child, but she never expected him to be so scheming. "Asher, why did you do this?" Seeing that his actions were exposed, Asher Zhou recklessly went all in. "Anyway, I'm your biological child, so shouldn't you be good to me? What does Ryan Zhou even matter? No matter what I do, he should be grateful." Mr. Zhou slapped Asher Zhou in the face, roaring, "Shut up. Ryan is also our child. He's your brother." A hint of hatred flashed in Asher Zhou's eyes. "If you really treated him as a child, why would you believe him just because I said he was bullying me? Why would you steal his hard work from me and hire someone to assault him one night? In the end, we are all selfish people, you just realized he was still useful." Wendy Zhou was filled with guilt. "We've let Ryan down too much." The Zhou family was in chaos, but I knew nothing. I was lying on a cold operating table, my consciousness fading. My condition was getting worse, and I was truly counting down the last moments of my life. A young nurse recognized me and posted my situation online. Soon, the news that fake young Master Ryan Zhou has terminal stomach cancer and is being resuscitated became a trending topic. Jun Jiang checked the news 3 times to make sure the person in the news was me. "Stop looking at your phone," Jun's dad interrupted impatiently. "Prepare to call off the engagement with the Zhou family in the next few days. Asher Zhou, that idiot, is just a pretty face. The Zhou family will probably collapse soon without Ryan Zhou." Jun Jiang raised her head blankly and murmured, "Ryan Zhou is dying." "What?" Jun's dad thought he misheard. Jun Jiang seemed to suddenly wake up, stood up abruptly, grabbed the car keys, and ran out. She ran all the way, her mind blank, only the words "Ryan Zhou is dying" echoing in her mind. Along the way, she ran several red lights and even scraped against a truck. But she didn't care and continued to step on the gas. Jun Jiang's feelings for me were complicated. She enjoyed my love, coveted the superiority I brought her, but also felt inferior because of my excellence. I was like a bright moon in the sky, hanging in a place she couldn't reach. After learning that I was not the Zhou family's child, a hidden sense of superiority rose in her heart. She no longer had to look up to me and could even look down on me. Seeing me saddened by her closeness with Asher Zhou, that feeling excited and intoxicated her. She had scornfully thought that the bright moon hanging high was nothing more than this. But now, the bright moon was about to fall. She couldn't imagine losing me. She always felt that even if she married Asher Zhou, as long as she coaxed me a little, I would still come back to her. She didn't expect that she would forever lose her bright moon. When she stumbled into the hospital, I had just been pulled back from the brink of death and was lying in the ICU ward. She desperately wanted to rush in but was stopped by the nurse. "I'm sorry, miss, only family members can enter. You can't go in." "Ju." Annie Jiang grabbed the nurse's hand and pleaded, "I'm his girlfriend, please let me see him, just for one moment." Professor Chen stood at the door and glanced at Jun Jiang coldly. "You still have the nerve to come? Ryan wouldn't want to see you. Get lost. Please, let me see him." She was incoherent, her makeup smudged, and there was a bruise on her face, making her look miserable. Professor Chen was unmoved. "Mind your status. You are Asher Zhou's fiancé, not Ryan's. Don't disturb Ryan's last moments. He won't be happy to see you." Jun Jiang's eyes dimmed inch by inch. At this moment, the Zhou family also arrived. Asher Zhou walked up arrogantly, grabbed Jun Jiang's arm, his tone full of sarcasm. "Jun, you're still thinking about this bastard? He's been assaulted. he's filthy. Slap. A loud slap interrupted Asher Zhou's words. Jun Jiang threw off his hand, glaring at him hatefully, her eyes red. You're the one who's filthy. It's all because of you. If it weren't for you, I would have found out about his illness sooner. Let's break off the engagement, Asher Zhou. A look of embarrassment flashed across Asher Zhou's face, which soon turned into anger. You dare hit me? For him? What's so good about him? A dying man. Mr. and Mrs. Zhou didn't care about their argument and walked up to Professor Chen anxiously. We are Ryan's parents, we can go in and see him, right? Professor Chen stood in front of the door, not giving way. Ryan's guardian and family are only me. You abandoned him. What kind of family are you? Mr. and Mrs. Zhou looked awkward. Wendy Zhou stepped forward, her tone forceful. Ryan is still on our household register. You have no right to stop us. Professor Chen knew he couldn't stop them and could only let them in helplessly. Asher Zhou blocked their way unwillingly. Mom, Dad, you can only choose one between him and me. Think carefully whether you want to go in and see him. In the past, as long as he said something like this, his parents would choose him without hesitation. But this time, Mrs. Zhou just glanced at him indifferently. If you want to break off the relationship, go ahead. You're not our only child. Asher Zhou widened his eyes in disbelief, as if he was seeing his mother for the first time. Mr. Zhou also said coldly, we always felt that we owed you, so we compensated you more. Now it seems it was all our fault. If you want to leave, then leave. Asher Zhou felt like a clown, being humiliated in front of everyone. He roared, he's about to die, why are you pretending to be a loving family now? He's just a dead man. Wendy Zhou looked at him with icy eyes, saying each word clearly, Ryan won't die. Asher Zhou sneered. Okay, you all choose him, right? Fine, don't regret it. He said fiercely, turned around, and left, his back full of unwillingness and resentment. The others ignored him and went to put on protective suits to go into the ICU to see me. I was lying in bed, my consciousness sometimes clear and sometimes blurred. In a daze, I saw a familiar figure walk to my bedside. It was Jun Jiang. She was wearing a protective suit and a mask, only her red and swollen eyes were visible. She held my hand tightly, choking back tears. Ryan, you have to get better, I can't live without you. My parents followed closely behind. Ryan, we were wrong about you before. We will definitely make it up to you in the future, you must live on. My mother cried, and my father also echoed with red eyes. Wendy Zhou also looked regretful. Ryan, I'm sorry, I should have taken you to the hospital sooner, I didn't care enough about you. I smiled weakly. What was this? Belated family and love? Unfortunately, I didn't need them anymore. Have you regretted enough? If you have, get out, I have nothing to say to you. My father frowned, his tone a little dissatisfied. Ryan, even if we were wrong first, we are still your family. Can't you forgive us just once? We've been together for 18 years. Family? I repeated these two words, feeling incredibly unfamiliar and ironic. The nasogastric tube caused a stinging pain and bleeding in my throat every time I spoke. I swallowed the bloody water that welled up and slowly opened my mouth. I know you arranged what happened that night. I heard it when my sister was on the phone with you. The Zhou family's faces turned pale in an instant, and Jun Jiang's eyes began to wander, not daring to look me in the eye. I looked up at Jun Jiang, my tone indifferent. You knew about it, too, didn't you? But you didn't say anything. Jun Jiang lowered her head guiltily, like a child who had done something wrong. My mother opened her mouth, wanting to explain, but I had already pressed the call bell to have the nurse ask them to leave. I don't want to hold you accountable, please don't bother me anymore. My voice was weak, but it was firm. You have already ruined me once, don't make me uneasy in the last few days before I die. Jun Jiang grabbed my hand and refused to leave, crying, Ryan, let me stay and take care of you, please. I know I was wrong, I have broken off the engagement with Asher Zhou, I love you, don't chase me away. As she spoke of loving me, she pulled on my needle, and blood flowed back along the needle, which was shocking. I looked at her hysterical appearance and tugged at the corner of my mouth. Junjiang, I don't want your love. I'm really tired, let me go, okay? My voice was very soft at the end, as light as a sigh. Junjiang suddenly lost the strength to struggle, like a deflated ball. She couldn't see any love in my eyes, only endless indifference and weariness. When the Zhou family left the ward, everyone's face was filled with regret and unease. Before they could come up with any compensation plan, the internet exploded. Several uncensored videos of me were spread like wildfire, with the caption, "The Zhou family's fake young master has a chaotic private life." Those netizens who had sympathized with me for having cancer instantly changed their faces and began to humiliate me in various ways. Serves him right for getting cancer. Improper private life, retribution. Some people even sarcastically said, if you like to play so much, it's normal to get sick. Overwhelming foul language flooded in like a tide. At this moment, Junjiang suddenly stood up. She directly issued a statement on Twitter, stating that she had called the police. She also opened 5 live streams, explaining with tears in her eyes that the person in the video was me. But all of this was a setup by the Zhou family for Asher Zhou, and I was the victim, not a willing participant. Netizens were in an uproar and flocked to the official Twitter of the Zhou group, questioning whether they had done it. Zhou's reputation collapsed, and the stock price plummeted. Netizens felt even more sorry for me and began to boycott Zhou's products. Wendy Zhou couldn't sit still and, in order to quell public anger, she issued a public apology, taking all the responsibility on herself. She said that she had been momentarily confused and had done something to hurt me. Wendy Zhou took all the blame and went to prison for intentional injury. Zhou's parents aged several years overnight. The once glorious Zhou family was now in turmoil. When I woke up, I felt surprisingly good. I unplugged all the tubes on my body and walked out of the ward. Seeing Professor Chen's red and swollen eyes, I smiled. Professor, I feel very good today. I want to go downstairs for a walk. Professor Chen wiped away his tears and choked back tears. I'll go with you. I knew that this was probably a last gleam of vitality. I was going to die. Strangely enough, I didn't feel much fear in my heart, but rather a sense of relief. Living was too hard, and dying might be a relief. The sun shone on me, warm and comfortable, and I suddenly felt a little reluctant. Suddenly, a figure rushed out from the side, and I subconsciously stepped back. It was Asher Zhou, holding a knife in his hand, his face distorted. Now, he had been abandoned by his Zhou's parents and was being scolded by everyone online. Everything was going wrong for him. Ryan Zhou, just die quickly, why do you have to take everything I got away from me? Seeing that he missed the first stab, he stabbed a second time. Behind me was the wall, and I couldn't dodge. At this critical moment, a figure stood in front of me. It was Junjiang. Asher Zhou's knife stabbed into her abdomen, and blood instantly stained her clothes red. She held Asher Zhou's hand tightly, not letting him hurt me anymore. She turned to me and gave me a comforting smile. Ryan, I'm glad you're okay. The people around screamed and scattered, and the security guards who rushed over after hearing the news held Asher Zhou down. I supported Junjiang and sent her to the emergency room. Her face was pale, and her eyes were full of longing. I'm sorry. Please don't hate me anymore, okay? I didn't answer. It wasn't until I handed her over to the nurse that I whispered in her ear, no, I will never forgive you in this lifetime, no matter what you do. Her pupils dilated, and she looked at me desperately. I turned around and continued to walk with Professor Chen. Things that are broken can never be restored to their original state, no matter how much you try to fix them. I walked to a rockery and sat down, leaning my head on Professor Chen's shoulder. Professor, can I be your child in my next life? Professor Chen choked back tears and nodded. Then I would be so lucky to have a child like you. Am I a good child? Professor Chen touched my head. Our Ryan is the best child. Smart, capable, kind, the best child. The spring breeze blew, so warm. I felt my eyelids getting heavier and heavier, and my consciousness began to blur.